Everyone says that starting early gives you an advantage. But what if I told you that when it comes to English, that's just another half-truth keeping you stuck? There are people who started learning years ago and still don't speak. And there are others who just started yesterday and are already unlocking something. What makes the difference isn't how much time has passed. It's the decision you haven't made yet. The decision to stop looking at someone else's clock and finally trust your own timing. The truth is you're not late. You're just distracted by the idea that you need a perfect plan, flawless pronunciation, or an advanced level to begin. But English isn't a diploma, it's practice. And sometimes, the only thing separating someone who speaks from someone who just studies is a ridiculously simple step. The courage to try however you can. Time didn't leave you behind. It's just waiting for you to align with your own will. And what if I showed you throughout this video that you already have everything you need to begin? Even if you still make mistakes, even if you still freeze sometimes. What if what looks like a delay is actually your exact turning point? Some people start by saying, "English isn't for me. I'm too old for this." And they repeat it so much that they start to believe it. But that's a lie. Learning English has no age limit. What holds you back isn't time, it's the fear of trying. And fear often hides behind excuses. If it were meant to happen, it would have happened by now. But it hasn't happened yet because you haven't decided that it will. People who learn English early don't have an advantage. They just had more exposure. And exposure, we can create it at any stage of life. Some people start at 50, 60, and do better than many younger ones. You know why? Because they don't carry the shame of making mistakes. They don't rush to impress. They learn with lightness, with patience, and more importantly, with the courage to keep going even without understanding everything right away. The truth is, English doesn't ask for youth. It asks for presence. When you say, "It's too late for me," you're comparing yourself to an ideal timeline that doesn't exist. The perfect moment to begin has never existed. So, when someone says, "There's still time," your heart might doubt it, but that's exactly where the shift begins. What if that "still" is actually your very first step? English begins the moment you decide you're ready. Some people wait for a sign from the universe to start speaking. They think they'll wake up one day feeling brave with crystal clear words and a movie-like accent. But let me tell you a secret. That day never comes. Because English doesn't begin when you feel ready. It begins when you go for it, even when you're not. And what scares most people isn't even the language. It's the mirror. English is scary because it forces us to watch ourselves trying. The turning point is when you finally say, "I'm going to use what I already know in my own way." And that's worth more than any language app or magical tip on Instagram. One of my students started just like that. He only knew how to say good morning and coffee. But every day he'd go to the bakery and try those two words with a foreign customer. After 1 week, he was speaking in full sentences. Not because he studied more, but because he stopped waiting to feel safe before acting. And that's the key. Action comes before confidence. There's a quote I love. "If you wait until you're ready, you'll never start." It's like postponing a trip while waiting for perfect sunshine and missing the sunrise that's already happening. In English, that sunrise is every word you've already understood but haven't used yet. And here's the interesting part. Most people only realize how much they know when they finally try to speak. So maybe your English is already there, just waiting for you to take that first step. You already have a foundation even if you don't see it. Have you ever noticed how many English words are already part of your daily life without you even realizing? Login, Wi-Fi, delivery, streaming like playlist. That's not a coincidence. That's exposure. And the more you're exposed to English in your daily life, the deeper it sinks into your mind. No translation, no pressure, no effort. It's like planting seeds without even knowing something is already growing. But because you don't see it as study, you end up thinking you haven't learned anything. But you have. When you get a joke in English on TikTok, when you reply, "I know, right?" in a comment, when you sing that song without translating, that's real comprehension. The problem is no one taught you to value that. You were taught that learning only counts if it comes with grammar rules in a notebook with a teacher correcting you. So you walk around thinking you're at level 0, when your brain is already at level 2, 3, just waiting for your confidence to catch up. It's like the student who thinks they don't know how to swim, but in the moment of panic, they manage. That's how your English works. It's already inside you, ready to rise. And often the only reason you don't see it is because you're chasing some kind of perfect English. But real English is full of slang, contractions, mixed up phrases. If you already understand that kind of English without a dictionary, maybe the question isn't, what do I still need to learn? But rather, why haven't I given myself credit yet? Learning English isn't linear. It's organic. Learning English isn't like climbing stairs. It's more like taking care of a plant. Some days it feels like you're growing, understanding everything, feeling fluent. Other days it feels like you forgot the verb, to be. And that's okay. This back and forth isn't failure. It's proof that your learning is alive. It's organic. It doesn't happen in a straight line. It grows in curves, in cycles. Like everything that truly takes root inside us, people who expect fluency to come in a straight line end up frustrated. Because English doesn't follow school-style logic. Some days you'll understand a full video. The next day you'll freeze at a simple sentence. That doesn't mean you've gone backward. It means you're maturing on the inside. Your mind is organizing what it learned. It's like when you water a plant, but it hasn't bloomed yet. On the outside it looks still, but on the inside it's doing the work. Most people give up at this stage because they think they weren't born for this. But what they don't realize is that this so-called stuck phase is exactly where the turning point begins. It's where the brain starts to connect things on a deeper level. If you keep feeding your English every day by listening, speaking, making mistakes, and repeating, it grows. Slowly, but it grows. And sometimes, when you least expect it, that sentence that felt impossible yesterday just comes out. What if that's about to happen for you? The progress you didn't notice happening. There's a kind of progress that makes no noise. It doesn't show up on charts, and it doesn't come with fireworks. It happens in silence. When you understand a sentence without realizing it, when you translate in your mind effortlessly, when you start thinking in English and don't even notice. That's real. It's powerful. But because there's no alert on the screen, most people think they're not improving. But they are. More than they think. Here's a practical example. Have you ever tried watching a show in English and felt like you didn't understand a thing? Now go back to that same show a month later. Suddenly, some expressions feel familiar. You catch the meaning before the subtitles show up. You might even finish the character's sentence. That's not magic, that's build-up. It's the kind of fluency that forms in layers. You don't see it happening day by day, until one day you see everything at once. That kind of progress is tricky, in a good way. Because while you're thinking you're stuck, your brain is quietly doing the work behind the scenes. And that changes everything. Because the person who thinks they're not moving often just hasn't learned how to see their own growth. English won't tap you on the shoulder and say, "Congrats, you leveled up." But it will start to show up in your speech, your understanding, your intuition. And maybe, just maybe, that's already happening for you right now more than you know. Start with what you already know. A lot of people freeze in English because they think they need to know everything before they can speak. But what if the key was actually the opposite? What if it's about starting with what you already know, just the way it is? Even if it's simple, even if it feels incomplete. A clumsy sentence spoken with courage is worth more than a perfect paragraph that never left your mind. Some people think they can only practice English once they're advanced. But real learning starts in practice, not theory. Here's a quick exercise. Pick 5 words you use every day in Portuguese and look them up in English. Then build sentences with them. Write them down on your phone, stick them on your mirror, say them out loud. If you can say coffee, sleep, work, music, happy, you can already start. More than that, you can already communicate, in your own way at your own pace. When you use what you already have, something shifts inside. Because you stop waiting for permission and start taking the lead. Even if you mess up, you're speaking. Even if you freeze, you're trying. And that's gold. Because English isn't mastered by magic, but by small acts of courage. Acts that turn scattered words into sentences, sentences into conversation, and conversation into confidence. But what if you already have everything you need to begin, and you're just waiting for permission? Your time starts when you decide to unlock it. The right time to start doesn't live on a calendar. It begins the moment you decide to unlock yourself. And unlocking doesn't mean becoming fluent overnight. It means saying, I'm done hiding behind, I'm not ready yet. Because no one wakes up fluent. Fluency doesn't fall from the sky, it's built. And that building process begins when you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start acting with what you have. Even if you're scared, even if you make mistakes. So many people spend years studying English, consuming content, listening to music, and still call themselves beginners. Not because they don't know enough, but because they haven't allowed themselves to know. The block isn't in the language, it's in the identity. And as long as you keep saying you're not good enough, you'll stay trapped in a version of yourself that can't grow. The decision that changes everything is simple. Stop postponing the now. Because while you think you're late, your English is just waiting to be lived. And it doesn't need to be grand or pretty. Sometimes unlocking is sending a short message, leaving a comment in English, or repeating a sentence from a video out loud. It's that shy step that, before you even notice, becomes a leap. Change happens in the silence of action. No announcement, no applause, but with results. And if you've made it this far, maybe that step is already way closer than it seems. So tell me, after all of this, what still makes you believe you're late? Was it the fear of making mistakes? The comparison to people who started before you? Or the same old excuse of no time, no talent? Because now you know, English doesn't wait for resumes or age or perfection. It only waits for one thing, your movement. Small but real. And what if that movement starts today? What sentence can you say right now? What word do you already understand without translation? Write it down in the comments. Show me where you are, and I'll help you move forward. Because if you made it this far, it means there's something inside you that's ready to unlock. And once that happens, there's no going back. Your time is now. And it only needs one thing, your choice. So hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and come with me. Because here you'll learn English in a way that transforms from the inside out. And I'll prove that to you video after video.